He climbed through the Iron Brotherhood Clubhouse on County Road 14. He was shaking and soaked to the bone. "What a terrible time to reign," said 26-year-old Jake Miller, the would-be thief, to himself. The clubhouse was dark. He couldn't see much, so Jake had to stumble to the counter, knocking over coffee mugs on the way. They told him the bikers would be gone after all, and it was raining. They wouldn't ride in the rain, he thought to himself, as his beam landed on a clear jar sitting beside the register. Hand-painted letters across the front. Toys for veterans' kids. Christmas drive. Jake grabbed it. Bills and coins rattled inside. "Sweet. Now I can get more," he said. Then suddenly, lights snapped on. He froze. Before I dive deeper, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, what time it is, and don't forget to subscribe for a shout-out in our next video. The lights snapped on. Jake turned around and saw 40 bikers standing in the shadows. Silent. Arms crossed. Leather vests gleaming under the fluorescent glow. They'd been there the whole time, waiting, watching. Jake's legs buckled. The jar slipped from his hands and hit the floor. Didn't break. Just rolled in a slow circle and stopped at the boots of a tall man with a gray beard and a vest that read, "Reaper, President." Reaper picked up the jar, looked at Jake. Calm. No anger. Just cold, measured disappointment. "You just picked the wrong family to steal from, son." Jake couldn't breathe, but instead of calling the cops, the president said something that changed everything. Morning came slow. Jake sat in a folding chair in the middle of the clubhouse, wrists zip-tied in front of him. Still wet, still shaking. The bikers moved around him like he wasn't even there, brewing coffee, checking their phones, talking low. Reaper pulled up a chair, sat down across from him, studied him for a long time. "Why'd you do it?" Jake's voice cracked. "I needed money, for my girl. She's sick." Reaper didn't blink. "What's her name?" Sarah. Where's she at?" She's at her mom's place." Reaper leaned back. "You're lying." Jake's eyes dropped. Another biker, a stocky guy with a shaved head named Tank, walked over holding a plastic bag. He tossed it on the table between them. Inside was a used syringe, a burnt spoon, and a rubber band. "Found this in his jacket," Tank said flatly. "Ain't got no sick girlfriend. He's just another junkie." Jake flinched like he'd been slapped. Reaper sighed, rubbed his face, looked at Jake again, not with rage, but with something closer to pity. "You used to work for us, didn't you?" Jake nodded barely. 2 years ago, you washed bikes at the charity rides. Good kid. Always showed up early. Always stayed late. Jake's throat tightened. "What happened to you?" Silence. Then Jake's voice, barely a whisper. "I got lost." Reaper leaned forward. "You ain't a thief, Jake. You're just broken." The room went quiet. Even Tank backed off. Reaper stood, walked to the counter, and poured a cup of black coffee. He set it in front of Jake and cut the zip ties with a pocket knife. "Drink." Jake's hands shook so bad he could barely hold the mug, but he drank. Reaper pulled his chair closer. "You got one shot to tell me the truth, not the story you think I want to hear. The real one." Jake broke. "I pawned my mom's wedding ring," he said, tears streaming down his face. "For dope. I've been sleeping under the bridge off exit 9 for 3 months. I got nothing left. I got nobody. I thought maybe if I got some cash I could, I don't know, fix something. Anything." The silence that followed was heavy, full of weight no one wanted to carry, but everyone understood. Reaper looked around the room, at the photos on the wall. Brothers who'd died, brothers who'd served, brothers who'd clawed their way back from the edge. He turned back to Jake. "Then you ain't the only one who's been there." The club gathered in the back room. Jake stayed in the chair, head down, listening to the muffled voices through the door. "We call the cops, he's done," Tank said. "He robbed a veterans charity, Reaper. That ain't small time." Another voice, Ghost, the club's enforcer, chimed in. "Or we handle it ourselves. Old school, he won't forget." But Reaper stayed calm. Cops won't fix him. Beating him won't either. So what, we just let him walk? No, we make him face what he did. Silence. You serious? Reaper opened the door, walked back out to Jake. Stand up. Jake stood, legs barely holding him. Reaper pointed at the jar on the counter. You know what that money's for? Jake shook his head. Christmas gifts. For kids whose dads came back from Iraq and Afghanistan missing pieces of themselves. Kids who ain't got much. Kids who deserve better. Jake's face crumbled. You tried to take that from them. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry don't mean nothing if you don't do something about it. Reaper stepped closer, eye to eye. You got two choices. I call the cops right now. You go to county. You do 6 months. You come out worse than you went in. Or... Jake waited. You come with us. What? You heard me. You're coming with us. Right now. That's when Reaper made a decision that would have shocked any cop in town. They took Jake outside. 40 bikers stood in formation, engines idling. The rain had stopped, but the air was still cold and heavy. Steam rose off the pavement. Jake looked around, confused, terrified. Get in the van, Reaper said, nodding toward a white cargo van parked at the end of the line. Jake climbed in. 2 bikers, Ghost and a woman named Raven, sat with him. Neither said a word. The engines roared to life. 40 Harleys rolled out in a single column, red taillights glowing like embers in the dawn. The van followed close behind. They rode for 20 minutes, through back roads and empty highways, past farms and trailers and falling down barns. Jake sat in the back, hands clenched, heart pounding. He had no idea where they were taking him. A little girl ran past him, clutching a stuffed bear. Her dad, missing an arm, sitting in a wheelchair, smiled at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Jake's chest tightened. Then a voice behind him. First time here? Jake turned. A man in his 40s rolled up in a wheelchair, missing his left arm below the elbow. His vest read, Iron Brotherhood, Nomad. Yeah, Jake muttered. The man smiled, sad but kind. You know who packed half these boxes last year? Jake shook his head. Me. Fresh out of rehab. 30 days clean. These guys gave me something to do with my hands when I wanted to use them for the wrong reasons. Jake stared at him. You ain't the first guy to walk in here broken, brother. And you won't be the last. Tears started to fall. Jake didn't even try to stop them. Reaper walked up beside him, handed him a pair of work gloves. You stole from kids who needed hope, Reaper said quietly. So now you're going to give it back. He pointed to the line of bikes outside, loaded down with more donations. Start unloading. Jake hesitated, looked at the gloves, at the families, at the man in the wheelchair who was watching him with no judgment, just patience. Then he pulled the gloves on, and he started working. He came for cash, but he found a reason to live. Weeks passed. Jake didn't leave. He stayed at the rehab center, sleeping in a small room in the back, attending meetings every morning, working with the club every afternoon. They didn't go easy on him. He cleaned floors, washed dishes, hauled boxes, sorted donations, fixed broken furniture, rebuilt engines under Reaper's watchful eye. Every day, Reaper tested him, not with words, with presence. You show up or you don't, Reaper told him once. That's the only thing that matters. Jake showed up, but it wasn't easy. 3 weeks in, he relapsed, disappeared for 2 days, came back strung out, ashamed, hollow-eyed. The club found him sitting outside the clubhouse at 3 a.m., head in his hands. Reaper didn't yell, didn't lecture, just sat down beside him. You fall, we don't leave you behind, Reaper said, but you gotta want to stand. Jake nodded, cried, got back up. By the 3rd month, Jake was clean. His hands didn't shake anymore. His eyes were clear. He started smiling again, small, cautious smiles, but real ones. He worked on a bike in the shop, a black and red Harley that had been totaled in a crash, spent weeks rebuilding it, sanding, painting, polishing, pouring everything he had into it. On the tank, he stenciled 2 words in white letters. Second chances. When he fired it up for the first time, the whole club was there. The engine roared clean and strong. Perfect. Reaper walked over, holding a folded leather vest. No patches, no colors, just plain black leather. He handed it to Jake. "You ain't one of us yet, but you're on the road." Jake took it with trembling hands, put it on. It fit like armor. And just when everyone thought the story was over, Jake's past came roaring back. 6 months later, the Iron Brotherhood hosted their annual charity ride. Hundreds of bikes, thousands of people, music, food, families everywhere. Jake stood at the edge of the lot, leaning against the bike he'd rebuilt. Clean-shaven, clear-eyed, wearing the vest Reaper gave him. Then he heard a voice he hadn't heard in 2 years. "Jake?" He turned. His mother stood 10 feet away, older, grayer, tears already streaming down her face. "Mom." She ran to him, wrapped her arms around him so tight he could barely breathe. They stood there in the middle of the lot, holding each other, both of them crying like the world had just stopped spinning. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. "You almost did." Reaper watched from a distance, arms crossed, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. That night, after the crowd cleared and the engines cooled, Jake found Reaper sitting alone on the clubhouse steps. He sat down beside him, pulled a folded piece of paper from his vest pocket, and handed it over. Reaper unfolded it, read it. Narcotics Anonymous, 90-day completion certificate. Reaper nodded, handed it back. "You could have been a mugshot," he said. "Now you're a miracle." Jake smiled. "You didn't call the police. You called my soul back."